So I guess the starting point for the IDP Foundation is that increasingly low-fee private schools are part of education systems. They constitute a large and in many countries growing share of basic education provision. And these schools have sprung up in part because there may not be enough supply of government schools, but also parents with different aspirations to what they want from schooling. And we don't see them as a substitute for government schools. We see public sector education as being ultimately the most important form of financing and provision, but we do see an opportunity to work with these schools to help them access capital, as we say, through the banking system, but also to try and help them improve their learning outcomes. And we're particularly interested in engaging governments as well, so that they can use public subsidy to enable poorer students to go to those schools without paying fees, because we don't feel the low-fee private market is one that should really extract fees from particularly the bottom quintile of populations. On the quality issue, I think there's a number of ways of trying to address it. One way is to help them to access providers of goods and quality services in the market, help the information flows and help them understand what might work and what might not work. Another way is to directly provide into the market additional interventions like training and peer support and so forth. And the IDP Foundation works with Sesame Workshop, and we've developed some materials to help them do that. It may also be possible to work within the financial transaction between the bank and the schools to overlay incentives to improve learning. So, for example, there's been an experiment in India involving a financial services company called Vartana. And in that experiment, Vartana have offered reduced loan repayments, so say a 1 percentage point less in interest rate repayment, to schools who have achieved measurable improvements of learning outcomes. And that's an interesting experiment to try, as I said, to structure into the financial transaction some incentives to improve quality. On the equity issue, I think that the low-fee private school market can serve households who are willing and able to pay for that. But as I said, I don't think that if it's to reach the bottom quintile and the poorest students, those are households who are probably not able to pay without significantly compromising their welfare. And in that case, I think that it's probably best to think about public subsidy, as has been tried in many countries. In Pakistan, for example, the Punjab Education Foundation receives a public subsidy which enables them to reach 2.5 million children through a voucher scheme. So those children get primary and secondary education free of charge through that public subsidy. So it's a way for the state to contract with non-state providers in a way that also reaches equity goals, because those students aren't paying.